Hi, my name is Judy Zorn. I'm the Executive Director of the Great Lakes Chamber Orchestra, and today my guest is Jan Stewart, who is the Vice President of the GLCO Board of Trustees. Jan, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome to you as well.
Thank you. I'm delighted to have Jan here with us today. She comes from such an interesting and varied background, and we are very, very fortunate to have her not only on the board, but in a leadership position of the board, and most especially through this very interesting time. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a few moments. But now I think it would be very interesting and a lot of fun to hear from Jan a little bit about her background and where she is from. And Jan does come with quite a musical background. So tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I grew up in a house that had a lot of music in it. My mother was a pianist as a youngster and as a young woman. And so she would play Chopin, Bach, Liszt, Beethoven on our second-hand piano that had a cracked sounding board. And
Yep.
so we listened to music all the time. We had Toscanini and all the greats of the day. And when Advent started, it was all Handel all the time with the Messiah going in the background.
Beautiful.
And my dad liked music too. He was partial to country music and big band music. So
how old were you when you started playing an instrument, and what was your first instrument?
my first instrument was my voice.
Uh-huh.
I sang. I loved to copy Diane Warwick on "Do You Know the Way to San Jose?"
Do you know the way?
Exactly.
Of course.
And then I joined our church adult choir when I was in 4th or 5th grade, and this was at St. John's Episcopal Church in Alma, Michigan.
Okay.
And then I picked up my cornet in 5th grade and started playing on cornet. And in middle school transferred to baritone horn.
Through a school program.
Through a school program.
You know, it's so interesting. So many people that we talk to start their very first music experience and music training through a school program.
Yep.
So, yay,
Yep.
that's exciting.
And I had, when I transferred to baritone horn, it was a lot of musicians say, this is the range that really speaks to me. And so the low brass really spoke to me, and I took private lessons. I learned how to play trombone because they needed a trombone player in the pit orchestra of our high school play for My Fair Lady, and was also in jazz band in high school. And then I grew up in Alma, Michigan, but I wanted to follow my brother to Michigan State University and be in the MSU marching band.
Oh, of course.
And
That must have been exciting.
It was just a few years after they were forced to bring women into the band.
Oh, no.
And it was quite a men's club at that point. So I enjoyed that. I was in concert band as well. And then I kind of met the guy behind the camera right now. We met in marching band, passing each other on the 50-yard line. And he was the section leader of the trombones.
Two ships passing in the night.
Exactly. And so that's kind of my background. I have a degree in elementary education. I started as a music major, but that wasn't going to work out for me.
Well, I know that you have crisscrossed the country literally with Ken, your husband's job, and various things. And I know that you did spend some time on Grosse Ile in right near Detroit area there. And I know you were part of a Music Boosters Club, and you were also involved with the symphony orchestra down there.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, so when we moved to Grosse Ile, our boys were in middle school and high school. And the music program had suffered greatly. The boosters tended to be just mostly athletic boosters. And at that time, the choir members and the band members could only be in band or choir for one semester because of the way the electives were arranged, and so we decided that wasn't acceptable. So I joined the Music Boosters organization, and we successfully lobbied the Board of Education to change when students could take electives, because often students, as they reach their senior year, had no more major courses to take. And as a result, the choir program, the band program flourished because the students were able to keep their skills going forward during the school year.
Right, and you had children at that time in those ages.
Yeah.
And so it was a seamless transition for you, and an exciting one for you to put a lot of time and effort into a music program on a junior high and high school level.
Yes.
And I'm sure that you added a lot to that.
Yeah, well, I was very proud of that. We went from having about 4 members of the Music Boosters to having well over 100.
Wow.
And because, you know, they were busy people, so we said, well, you don't have to be on the board, but can you pick up the poinsettias for the sale?
Right.
And so that worked out really well. And I was also invited to join the Southern Great Lakes Symphony, which was based in Allen Park, Michigan. And we were working very hard to keep the orchestra relevant. We tried a lot of interesting marketing devices, but our demographic was getting older and not driving and not going out at night. And so, unfortunately, after we left the area, the Southern Great Lakes Symphony folded, which is too bad because they served downriver Detroit. They served, you know, the DSO often goes up to Birmingham and, you know, Bloomfield Hills, but they don't generally go much farther south than Orchestra Hall. So, so that was a loss.
That is a sad story, and regrettably, we might be looking at some more of that. But, you know, I believe that your last area, your last home, if you will, was in California for the last couple of years. And, you know, having said that, you and Ken, your husband Ken, have ties up here in northern Michigan and have for years and years and years. So this is not a new place for you. What is new is that you're now here full time.
Yes.
And so you have made that transition from California life to being up here, completing your home and being up here full time. So what does that feel like, Jan? Are you happy? And
very much so. We have had to relocate several times, and
I guess so. Connecticut,
North Carolina,
Minnesota, Michigan,
California, and it's just wonderful to be settled and rooted. It's wonderful to be near family. Not only is Ken's brother Gary and his wife, of course, residents of Harbor Springs, but my brother Reed Snellenberger and his wife Shirley decided to move up here as well. So we have family around us, and we have a church family, and we're getting more settled every year that we're here, and it's beautiful up here. We love the snow. People ask us, how can you stand it? It's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
How could you not love this? We are, just to let all of you know, we are in a beautiful room at Jan and Ken's home in Harbor Springs, and it just feels like the outside inside. And we were talking about that before we started, how this is an all seasons room. And I really understand that phrase now, because I can picture sitting in here in the winter or in the fall with the leaves turning. And so anyway, it's very beautiful. You know, all throughout your adult life, I can imagine, have you continued playing?
Yes. Yeah.
Because I know you do up here.
Yes.
And you are very generous with your time and your talents, certainly at church. And is that obviously enjoyable for you?
Very much so. So Ken and I have continued to play our horns and also be in various choirs, both community and church choirs. And musical people are just the best.
Yes, we are.
We are, aren't we wonderful?
Yes, aren't we wonderful?
People that are involved with music, music is a great leveler because it doesn't matter who your daddy is or where you came from. If you can play, if you have chops, you have instant friends. And we have so many dear friends all over the country that have been either musicians or vocalists, either instrumentalists, vocalists, or supporting music programs.
Right.
You know, they can't sing, but they love to hear music, and so they give their time and talent and treasure to making sure musical programs, the arts, are supported. We were involved with a church in Hartford, Connecticut, Asylum Hill Congregational Church, which had incredible music and fine arts committee. And they held art shows, they had liturgical dance, they put on a Boar's Head Festival in early January, which was amazing.
Those are fun.
And we played our brass there, and we're in the choir. And when we were on Grow Seals, knowing, as we mentioned, that the band program was kind of in tatters, Ken and I created the Gabriel Brass, which was an intergenerational brass ensemble, using kids from the high school and some from off the island too, Trenton and Riverview. And we would play things that the kids, you know, middlers and high school kids could play. We showed them what rehearsing is. We showed them how, we make mistakes too.
Right, exactly.
And we had more than a few train wrecks during worship.
Exactly.
And
that's part of live.
It's live music.
Live music. Yes, exactly. Well, and I'm sure that everything that you have just told us and how you are so driven to not only perform and be part of music, but also be part of the supporting of music and music programs. I'm sure that's what's led you to the Great Lakes Chamber Orchestra. Yeah. And we are so glad that is the case and that you are with us, and because you have not been up here full-time very long, and boom, you're here helping us and being on the board. Tell us a little bit about what it means to you and what it means to be a member of the leadership team of the Great Lakes Chamber Orchestra.
We have an amazing board. We have very talented individuals that come from medicine. We have people that are accountants, financial people. We have people who have long ties in the community that wish to have a fine performing arts organization here in Northwest Michigan. Right. Because a lot of us came from other places where there were big symphonies. There, you know, the Detroit Symphony, the Hartford Symphony, and we want to have good arts up here too, because arts are a fundamental quality of life. Arts help us process. The arts help us interpret what's going on around us.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And the Executive Council for the Great Lakes, we communicate well, we help each other because we all have different skill sets.
And it's been an interesting, talking about communication, it's been an interesting time with communication.
Yes.
We have had Zoom meetings, Jan, haven't we? We have had additional meetings in between a regular monthly meeting, and it has been so important to keep that communication vital.
Yeah. Although our concert season has been on pause for the 2020 year, that doesn't mean that we are on pause. No. We are delivering content like the Tuesday Talks. We are delivering the little Bay concerts. Yes. We are anticipating putting previous performances so that even though live in-person concerts cannot be accessed right now for safety reasons, we can still promote the arts, support the arts. We're busy writing grants. We are looking at different ways, and we can hardly wait until we can safely get together again We have wonderful ideas for future concerts.
Oh, yes, we do.
We do.
We
and
do.
I think that when we can safely get together again and have concerts, I'm anticipating a lot of pent-up demand for authentic live music and content and culture.
There certainly is a difference with online content and reaching out to our audience and our constituents via the internet or via online programs. And of course, we're thrilled to be able to do that and put those programs in place, like you said, like this, or Little Bay concerts, and many performing arts organizations are doing that, are obviously going online to have the music continue. It certainly is different than having the sound of the music actually rumble through your chest and be there with this collective audience that is just embracing the concert and the music. But until, as you say, we can do that again, we are just very joyful and happy to be able to bring various kinds of programs to our audience online. And what place does Great Lakes Chamber Orchestra have in our community, Jan?
Well, in normal circumstances, we give regular concerts that are ticketed at the Great Lakes Center for the Performing Arts. We also have a Sunday series, which is in your local neighborhood, either here in Harbor Springs at the Presbyterian Church, Boyne City, at the Presbyterian Church there, it's Charlevoix, and these are free, and they're wonderful because it gives some people who cannot travel very well, or who are, they're in a pinch financially, and they can come and see live music in a wonderful venue with great acoustics.
And they're a more intimate type of performance. It's a smaller ensemble. Very often they chat, tell you a little bit about themselves or about the music they're going to play or the composer.
Yeah. And we also have our educational series, which is held at the Petoskey Library, and I believe that we are working on
Boyne City and Charlevoix.
Boyne City and Charlevoix. And this is where we bring in musicians, and they play and inform young children about orchestral music. This is a flute, this is a cello, this is a drum, and they give the children opportunities to express themselves and dance and wiggle and get enticed into classical music, which for those of us that grew up with Bugs Bunny, we all knew opera before we were 10.
The Barber of Seville.
The Barber of Seville.
That's right. Of course, absolutely.
And so we support the community and have outreach. We have young artist competitions, which encourages young musicians to compete for scholarships. And most importantly, we offer a way for people to experience the arts, whether it is the Messiah in December, or whether it is dancers like we had a year ago with masks and spooky music and narration. And so it's just not just strings.
Right.
It's the experience, the live experience of interpreting music and having people have a moment where they can just step away from everyday life.
Step away from everyday life. That really kind of puts it all together, doesn't it? And especially in this time that we still are finding ourselves in a difficult time, a time that's filled with anxiety and tension and stress. And we all know that music and the arts play such an important role in helping all of us be able to cope and live with some joy and hopefully some peace and less anxiety and stress. We are so fortunate to have such a wonderful, active, and strong board at the Great Lakes Chamber Orchestra. And Jan is just a wonderful example of the kind of people and the people that we have supporting the orchestra, and we are so grateful at this time and always that we have such wonderful support from not only board members but from our entire community. And just as soon as we can and as soon as it is safe for musicians, staff, and audience members, we will be back performing live. Meanwhile, I invite all of you to go onto our website at www.glcorchestra.org, and please tune in and listen to Tuesday Talks and the Little Bay concert series. And we also are doing some GLCO in concert, which revives and brings back some previous concert performances. So again, I want to thank all of you for tuning in to Tuesday Talks, meeting with Jan and me. And I thank you also for the support that you continue to give to the orchestra.